Am I the asshole for canceling vacation? I, 32 female, and my husband, 40 male, have planned our first family vacation to a local water park in Florida where we live. My husband has a daughter from previous marriage and she is 11 female, and I have a daughter with him who is now 5. I have had a rocky relationship with his daughter as her mom told her dad cheated on her with me, which is not the case. Nobody cheated in anybody, they just were better off apart. Still to this day nobody knows why she has told their daughter that, but she has, and we've been trying for years to tell her the truth, but her mom is not budging. Fine, whatever. We planned our first family vacation for the 4 of us to go and stay in a hotel for the weekend and enjoy the water park which is in sight to the hotel. Last week his daughter texted me a number of texts telling me I am so horrible and mean and have ruined her life, and she hopes I die in a car accident, and how she will never be nice to our daughter because she hates me and her dad. Again, I've had it rough with his daughter, but she's 11, so I chalk it up to her being young, a kid pretty much, and I've let go a lot of the horrible berating things she has said to me. We went no contact for 7 weeks, and it was honestly so nice not having to walk on eggshells around her. She has finally started to come back around, and it's the same as before. In her latest text she has been unbelievably horrible and mean and told me word for word, "If you want to play the cutes game, well then we can play it like that, because you know who is better at me throwing kisses, because I told her I am done with her walking all over me and I will not be playing games." I have since blocked her. That was last Friday. Our vacation is booked for this weekend, Friday, Sunday. This morning my husband calls me and tells me how his daughter is begging to go on vacation and I should just be mature and move on. I refused, said if you want her to go then the 2 of you should just go and I will take our daughter on a different vacation. He is now ignoring me and calling me immature, telling me I'm letting a child ruin our vacation. I refuse to be trapped in a hotel room with her while she screams at me about how horrible I am and is mean to our daughter. Absolutely not. So I cancelled the vacation and got the refund. I told my mom and she told me she is only 11 and I should act like the grown-up. I am now confused and hurt. Am I really that mean to cancel the vacation? I mean, the kid told me I hope I would die and messaged the family iPad we have that her and my daughter FaceTime on and told her she would never be nice to her again because she hates me. Sorry, this is long and full of rambling, but am I the asshole? Edited to add. This is the first time she's ever lashed out towards my daughter. I have never left them alone without me or their dad present. We try to stay out of the house and stay busy, such as pool and park and mall and things. When we are home my daughter is clingy to me naturally, and so by that nature they aren't ever alone. Anytime she has even tried to be the slightest bit mean towards our daughter I shut it down immediately. We see her usually 3 days a week, Friday, Sunday. We aren't full-time with her. I have pushed for that idea for several years to give her more stability and more structure, but her mom says absolutely not. Only me went no contact with her, and by that I mean she did not come to our house and we did not speak. Her dad picked her up and they did their own things for the weekend. The times our daughter joined was to go to the park or local fair or outside activities basically. When she was younger she was never this bad verbally, she was really only whiny, would come over and cry for hours, and her dad and me would just hold her and try to comfort her. This level of abuse has gone up in the past year to get this bad. I have pushed for therapy for years for her and for us. Her mom shuts me down and won't even entertain the idea. She again says her daughter is fine and something is wrong with me, lol. I have my child in her own therapy as well as me, but I guess I should open up more to my therapist about what is going on with my stepdaughter. In the latest messages she called me, "Tattletale cry baby who tells her dad everything." That was last Friday and he saw her that night. I assumed, dumb of me, that she would mention it to him, and I guess she did not. When he called me to say she was begging to go on vacation I asked, well, did you read our texts or did she tell you anything? He said no. So I gave him a few quotes while we were on the phone. He said he would speak with her. Anytime he defends me and shuts her down she tells him she doesn't want to see him and he can live with his new family. Again, I want to emphasize her mom is remarried and has had 2 children with another man. So I again am not sure why he is not allowed to move on and her mom is. I am seeing I have a husband problem. He is basically letting and allowing this to happen. We have had it out a few times about her behavior and he says he's working on it, but he doesn't want to her. IDK what that means at this point. During the week when it is just us 3 we function great at a unit. It's not until the weekend does he'll break loose. Again, when I went no contact she did not come to our house, and that's what I meant by not walking on eggshells. My house felt at ease and I was not being verbally abused. Tonight when I am home I will show my husband this thread and let him read the messages. Maybe it's important, maybe not, but the mom speaks broke English, so I know it was stepdaughter texting me and not mom. There's a language barrier there. Not the asshole. Your husband should have put a stop to this shit a long time ago. He's the aw. What the ex did was inexcusable. All that said, your husband needs to sit her down, tell her that the cheating accusation is a lie, and that she can't talk to you that way. He needs to up his parenting game. Not the asshole. Yes, she's a kid. Yes, she's only 11. But her age doesn't mean that she's allowed to spew vitriol. Actions have consequences. If she's going to treat you like crap, that's her deal, but she doesn't then get to benefit from your efforts for vacations, etc. There is a certain amount of shit you have to take from your kids because they're kids. However, her hateful texts cannot be ignored. You're not her punching bag. Her dad needs to step in. Her mom is obviously on board with her abusing you. Not the asshole for canceling the vacation if it only would have led to more bad behavior. But the problem you have isn't with your stepdaughter, it's with your husband and his ex. Is this a relationship worth staying in? If your husband respected you, he wouldn't let this go on. Not the asshole, your husband is. This is his problem to fix, not yours and not the 11-year-old's. As her father, he needs to be the one to correct her behavior. You get it, you're the stepmom. Why should she pay any attention to anything you have to say? Am I the asshole for not agreeing with my husband that I shouldn't drink? Okay, so it's a long one. I'm originally from England, but I moved to Australia when I was 19. I was there for 3 years and about a year and a half in I got together with my husband who is Chilean. He was on a COVID visa, which allowed him to overstay his working holiday during the pandemic. We spent the whole pandemic living together and fell very much in love. About a year into our relationship he made me aware that he would need to go home, Chile, at the end of his visa. Eventually, he asked me to come with him. I was scared because we had only been together a year, and if I followed him there I wouldn't be able to work, I wouldn't know the language, and I would be very heavily dependent on him. But I loved him, more than I had ever loved anyone, so I decided to take the jump. He left 7 weeks before me, and this was pretty tough on our relationship. We'd just spent every day of a year and a half together, this being the first time we spent apart. Towards the end of the 7-week period he asked me to marry him. This was because so far a lot of our problems had come with the stress of it being hard for us to stay together due to complications with visas, and this would allow us to stay together, wherever we may be. I said yes. I arrived in Chile and we had a small wedding in an office here in Chile. It was quite a culture shock when I arrived here, and I'm still getting used to the language and culture, but I finally feel as though I am settling in nearly a year down the line. There is a bit of an age difference between me and my husband. I am 22 and he is 29. Which hasn't been too much an issue so far, but that brings me to the problem. Things are a bit more traditional here than what I am used to in the UK and Australia, in that I feel like I'm expected to be more submissive. I am fine with this, I actually prefer this dynamic mostly. I let my husband take all decisions regarding our relationship. Especially since I still am unable to work here due to a long processing time with my partnership visa. I spend most of my time at home just practicing Spanish and doing the cooking and cleaning. They love to have BBQs and his family, especially the males, drink a lot, only on weekends. I never drink as much as them, and always go to bed first. But my husband seems to think I am drinking too much. Sometimes I throw up, and sometimes I'm hungover the next day. But I never make a fool of myself, and if me and him argue it's always because he tells me to stop drinking, and it's frustrating because I never really get to do anything, and on the weekends when something's happening he expects me to just sit there quietly and watch. I understand the culture is different, but he knew who I was before I came. He knows I'm young and I don't party all the time, but I certainly do like to have fun. And I feel it's unfair to expect me to change this much? Am I the a-hole? If not, how do I get him to understand my side? Edit. Okay, yeah, so just wanted to clarify he drinks and goes out far more than me. And the throwing up only happens sometimes, like I said. I'm not drinking to the point of throwing up every time we drink, and I never make a scene or a mess when I do. Most nights when we drink I'll have 3 or 4 drinks. Occasionally I'll go up to maybe 6 or 7 if it's a particularly long night. He will easily drink double what I do on the nights we drink together, plus goes out without me. Also would like to clarify it's not every weekend that I drink, but would say maybe 2 weekends a month. And no, I don't have any friends but have grown pretty close to some of his family. Not the asshole. You need your own life too. If you feel too constricted in Chile where everything is dependent upon him and his control, then maybe being there isn't the best thing for you. Edit. Drinking enough that you throw up though is too much. I understand you're 22, but you need to figure out your limits with alcohol. Throwing up and hungover? Yes, you are drinking too much. He's an asshole and you jumped into a marriage with an asshole. You've kind of locked yourself into this relationship dynamic with him. So now you need to decide if you're really willing to live a life of near total submissiveness, or if you need to leave and live a life that you're in charge of. Not the asshole, and you actually found the perfect words to communicate your boundaries issues. He knew who I was before I came. He knows I'm young and I don't party all the time, but I certainly do like to have fun. And I feel it's unfair to expect me to change this much. This is all you need to start off the conversation. Not the asshole drinking so much you need to vomit doesn't sound like a healthy thing to do. That being said, it's your choice and he shouldn't force you not to drink at all. Either way, maybe try to drink just a little less than the throwing up amount. Would I be the asshole if I say my stepdaughter can't go on a family trip to the water park? I've been with my husband for 9 years now. He has a 13-year-old daughter who is becoming quite the handful as she gets older. I'm assuming puberty, but who knows? She's in therapy. We have 2 sons together, 8, 5. Now, I don't say this lightly because I absolutely hate blaming children for anything, but she truly makes every single, fun, thing miserable for everyone else. She absolutely hates our 5-year-old son and purposely sends him off the deep end by poking fun at him 24/7 or screaming at him for stupid shit. Like him sitting on one side of the couch because she wants to lay down and relax. Just today she was flipping out on me because my son was playing with the hose and she walked into the water spray. He had it pointed at one direction the entire time. He was cleaning his yard toys, and she walked right in the line of fire. She starts flipping out on me and my son because, these are the only clean clothes I have and now they're soaked, our yard is big, keep in mind. She had no business being near him at all and I'm convinced she went over there to have something to bitch about. And yes, we have spoken to her several times regarding her attitude. Asking her what's wrong, what's going on in her head, why she treats her brother like that, etc. And it's always an extreme attitude, rolling her eyes and saying, because he's fucking annoying. Now, every single year we bring the kids to the water park just outside our state lines. It's pretty expensive, $36 a person, and for the past 2 years she will be looking forward to it for weeks, just to ruin the whole experience. Like last year she threw an absolute piss fit for an hour because she was ready to go home at 1 p.m. and none of us were ready. So she caused a scene and embarrassed us to a point of us leaving. The year before she caused a scene because my son wouldn't give her his tokens for the go-kart. She already spent hers. We are supposed to be going Friday and I truly do not want her to go. I'm dreading the mere thought of having her there and having her, once again, ruin everyone's day. I haven't brought it up with my husband yet because I wanted to ask here first, since my best friend thinks it would be a dick move by excluding my stepdaughter and states that I should just put my foot down. I've tried. It just leads to her screaming at me, her dad. Wibta? ETA. I don't hate my stepdaughter. I shouldn't even have to say that here. You've read a snippet of an issue I'm having and because I didn't dive into saying I love this girl, y'all are jumping to conclusions. Of course I love her. I even enjoy being around her when she's not being a jerk. But those days are few and far between lately. Her mom blames it on her boyfriend, as she's having the same issues at her home and has been since my stepdaughter started dating him. I noticed the issues start happening long before, but this is just what biomom claims it is. Hence, the reason she's in therapy. I have never not included her in anything that I do with my boys. Her therapist is recommending an evaluation be completed for borderline personality disorder. I know nothing about the disorder so I won't make comparisons, but that's the current recommendation. You need to get to the bottom of the issue, not ban her from going. Info. What's the therapist's recommendation? I can't imagine excluding her is going to make her better. However, a 13-year-old and a 5-year-old are absolutely going to have different capabilities. Wants regarding a theme park, and that just seems like a terrible idea. I have no doubt that your stepdaughter is a handful, but your post is dripping with contempt for her, and I'm sure she picks up on that from you. ETA. Regarding your edit, we're only going by what you've written. And what you've written doesn't make it seem like you like her very much. Even in your edit, which is supposed to be addressing this supposed misunderstanding, you say this. I even enjoy being around her when she's not being a jerk. You are the asshole. I recognize that this is a difficult situation, but you can't just leave her at home. You're essentially punishing her for something she hasn't done yet. Would you be an asshole? I don't know. Would your stepdaughter or your husband think you're an asshole? Maybe. Am I the asshole for refusing to invite a friend to my 4th of July party over free speech? I, 34F, and my husband, 39M, recently hosted a 4th of July gathering at our home. We have 3 kids, 6M, 4F, 1M, and we live pretty close to our hometown, and so we have lifelong friends that we see regularly as well as friends we have made in our new town, coworkers, college, etc. It would be fair to say our friends come from many different backgrounds. We have friends that span the political spectrum and friends who are part of the LGBTQIA+ and BIPOC communities. I hate to put it this way, but I think the context for the guests is important to understand the actions that I took. It is not to say that if all my guests were white, cis, and straight, I would have felt differently, but I stood firm on my decision primarily because I felt I needed to protect my friends. Today's political climate in the US coupled with social media, it is easy to see how people feel. I have a friend, Bill, 40s, who can be outspoken about his feelings. To be fair, I only know this because of social media. I also know that I have other friends who support, vote for the same people as him but are less vocal and who I don't believe have the same radical views. If I am being honest, they probably don't really pay attention to some of the radical stuff because we live in a blue state. That brings us to our 4th of July party on Saturday. It is the first we have hosted since we moved back to the area from the city last year. When sending out invites, I skipped over this person because I could not get over some of the heinous things that he has posted. I was thinking about some of my friends and their families that I believe would be judged, probably silently, and just could not do it. The problem is his sister and cousin, their families were invited. I did not mention his family's absence from the party, but I know some people noticed, especially his family. No one said anything and no one seemed upset or left early. I knew I would most likely see him in the near future, but I ended up seeing him when we rafted up on our boat with his sister on Tuesday. Most of the day was fine, but when he directly asked me where his invite was, I told him that I was concerned about his views and his feelings about certain groups. He was surprised by this and said that he didn't realize I hated free speech. I countered that I still believe he has the right to believe what he wants and say what he wants, but I do not have to open my home, and friends, to his judgment, hostility. He posted about it on his social media that night and now people are divided. My husband thinks I'm a hypocrite because I most likely invited other Republicans, as he put it, but I do not think being a Republican and being a hateful person are the same thing. The sister gets why I did it but does feel like maybe it was harsh and believes he would not have confronted anyone. Many of my friends are happy I stood up for them. People I don't know said I hate free speech. I know my house, my rules, but am I the asshole? Not the asshole. He has the right to free speech and you have the right to not want to hang around such people. It is simple like that. He honestly must be too dumb to understand this. Also, if he posts hatefully things, he should expect that some people, especially the people who he post the hateful things taggarts, will not want to hang around him. Again, a very simple, logical thing that I am impressed he cannot realize on his own. What kind of stuff does he post? Not the asshole. You were protecting your family and friends from his hateful views. You couldn't guarantee if he came he wouldn't voice his opinions and truly harm your family, friends. Also, it's your house and party, you can choose who to invite. Freedom of speech limits the government from regulating speech. You get to decide what goes on in your home. If he'd said he only posts these ideas on social media, he wouldn't spout them at a party, I might suggest you cut him some slack. But no, he doubled down with a fictitious right to insult your guests. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. It's great to see that you do what is best for your guests to feel safe.